Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you've not been here before and you've not seen any of my videos, my name is Tracy Mayhew and I write contemporary small town romances and YA fantasy fiction. So we've made it to the last quarter of the year. This is my favourite quarter of the year because the weather starts to get cooler. We've got Halloween, my little homage there to Halloween, and there might be some more Halloweeny decorations making their way into some of my other videos for October, so keep your eyes out for that. We also have Preptober in October, and then in November we've got Nano, and of course then in December we have Christmas. So this is definitely my favourite month. I love all the cosy fall vibes or autumn vibes at the moment. And then obviously when the nights start drawing in and we start getting winter, I really enjoy that part of the year as well. So I'm going to apologise. I'm going to start this video by apologising. I'm not feeling 100% today. I've got a bit of a head cold. You might be able to hear it in my voice, but I've got eucalyptus on in the background. I've got some water with me in case I get a little bit dry. We're just gonna push through, and we're just gonna see what happens. So this video is the start of October, and I'm going to talk about what I'm going to be reading in October and what I've been reading in September. And actually there is one book that I was reading in August that I need to follow up on because I loved it so much. So let's kick off with that one. And that book is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I did a video back in, I want to say the end of July, beginning of August, about reading this one. And I've got to say this book did not disappoint. I said before that I'd read some of his other book, Malice and the rest of the Faithful and the Fallen series, and I absolutely loved those, so I had high hopes for this. And as I said, that does not disappoint. This is definitely a 5-star read for me. I'm going to start by just reading what's on the back, the little paragraph that's just on the back, and then I'll talk about what I thought about the book. So it says, "The greatest sagas are written in blood. Set in a brand new Norse-inspired world and packed with myth, magic and bloody vengeance, The Shadow of the Gods begins an epic new fantasy saga from best-selling author John Gwynne." And that pretty much sums up exactly what this book is about. This book has echoes of Ragnarok, the final battle in Norse mythology, and I definitely love that aspect about it. It definitely covered such a vast space. The world building and the land where it was set which is called Vigrid, I believe. And I also love books that have maps in, so this was perfect. So that is such a large world, and there's such a huge cast of characters that I will talk about as this review goes on. It's told from three points of view. So you've got Orca, Elva, and Varg. I hope I've pronounced those names correctly. My favourite character by far was Varg. I really enjoyed witnessing his journey as he became a member of the Bloodsworn and he started to learn how to train with them. He starts off, when we first meet him, he's a slave and he's escaped. I'm not going to say too much, no spoilers, but he escapes and he becomes a member of the Bloodsworn. And he starts training with them, and just to see his progress and his character arc develop over the course of the book I really enjoyed that. That was the best part of the book for me. The character I least gelled with at first, because it did change as the book went on, that was Orca. To me, she had too many secrets, and there wasn't enough clues as to what those secrets might be for me to kind of gel with her. But as I say, that did change as the book progressed. So I'm looking forward to her journey in the next book, The Hunger of the Gods, which will be one of my book reads next year. Because most of my book reads from now on in the year will be either Halloween or Christmas inspired. So yeah, there's monsters galore in this book, as you can probably guess from the front cover. I'm not going to say too much, but one of the monsters that really made me feel very uncomfortable were the Nightworms. If you've read the book and you know what I'm talking about, let me know what you thought about them, because they made me feel really, really icky when I read that chapter. And I was really tempted to kind of just flick through, get past that chapter, because it was just, it just made me feel, a bit weird. So yeah, if you've read that chapter and you know what I'm talking about, let me know what you thought of it. The world building is spot on. I was expecting that anyway with the John Gwynne book, and again I'm going to talk about the battle scenes in a minute, and again they were excellent. But again, he is a Viking reenactor in real life, so he's got experience that me and a lot of other people don't have. So when you read a battle scene by him, you know it's based on some experience. But yeah, the world building was spot on. And if this was ever made into a film or a TV show, which, you know, fingers crossed, it might be one day, I would love to see Snakovic in particular brought to life. Again, no spoilers. If you're curious, read the book. But yeah, if you've read the book and you know what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you thought of Snakovic. And the battle scenes, as I mentioned before, were really, really good. There was so much detail in each battle scene, and they each felt different. So there was no, like, you didn't get a feeling of repetition. When you've got a book that's so epic and there's a lot of battle scenes in it, sometimes the battle scenes can read a bit repetitively, but his never do, which is always a real treat for someone like me who loves that aspect of a fantasy book. Nothing was rushed in the battle scenes, and I could literally feel myself, like I could imagine myself in the heart of each of them, which was quite enjoyable. Again, for someone like me who's never been in a battle, but anyway. What I would say, I would have appreciated a character guide for this book, somewhere in this book, whether it be the front or the back, to kind of like accompany the map. The map was very useful, especially when, you know, place names and journeys were going on. You could track where they were going and everything. But the place names, the character names, especially for the gods, would have been very helpful. He had that in his The Faithful and the Fallen series, and I was hoping he would have that in this series, but he doesn't as yet. I don't know what he's got in The Hunger of the Gods, but that's just my personal opinion. Other people might not feel so strongly about it. I'm not letting that tarnish my review though, because that's only a tiny aspect of the book, and I still enjoyed it anyway, so it's not like it was a massive problem. So yeah, this book is definitely a 5 out of 5 star for me, and I highly recommend this for anyone who is into mythology, fantasy, Vikings, anything like that. This is definitely a book that you should go and check out through your library or get it on Kindle or whatever. It's really, really good. The next book I'm going to talk about, and I've spoken about this in the last couple of videos briefly, is called Winter at the Dog and Duck, now by Jill Steeples. This is a 4-star read for me, and I'll tell you why. Looking at the cover, and I must admit I was guilty of doing this, and I don't try not to generally do this, but I assumed this was going to be a Christmas book. So I was looking forward to reading a Christmas book slightly earlier than I would normally, but unfortunately Christmas wasn't really mentioned until, I would say, about 95% of the way through the book. So that was why I was a little bit disappointed with this, because it gives the impression and gives the vibes of being a Christmas book, but it wasn't. Not truly a Christmas book. It does touch on Christmas, like I say, but if you're looking for a completely 300-page Christmas book, this would probably not be the book that you would pick up first. Having said that, though, again, that's just a tiny aspect, and one I'm not going to let, you know, disappoint me too much, because apart from that, it was a very good read. It was really cosy. It was very enjoyable. It spans like a year, I guess, sort of from, I would say, March to Christmas. And the relationship between the two main characters, Ellie and Max, was really nice. It was really kind of like, it was a slow burn. There were a couple of spicier scenes, if you don't mind those. If you do mind those, just skip ahead. It wasn't a massive part of the book. I skipped ahead. I'm not into that kind of thing, reading it on the page, so I just sort of skipped ahead. But it was only a couple of pages, so it's not like it didn't ruin the book for me. And the other characters, the other side characters, Johnny and I think it was Josie. I loved them all. I thought they were really good. It was a really nice villagey feel to this book, which when you pick up a book that's got a country pub on it, for me, that needs to have the traditional quintessential English village feel, and this definitely does. So if you're into that kind of aspect, that I would recommend this book, definitely, but maybe wait until after Christmas if you want Christmas vibes. Okay, so that's Winter at the Dog and Duck. 4 stars from me. And then the last book I've been reading in September, another 5-star read. I would actually have given this slightly more if I could, but I've set myself 5 stars, so, you know. This is called Skandar and the Phantom Rider by A.F. Steadman. I read the first book, Skandar and the Unicorn Thief, earlier this year, I think. I don't think it was last year. I think it was earlier this year. And I really enjoyed it. It was one of those sort of like that could stand alongside Percy Jackson and Harry Potter and things like that. And it's just a really enjoyable read. It's unicorns, but not as we know them, as you can tell from the cover. Sorry, this is a library book, and I was hoping to leave this book until a bit later in the year, but the library needs it back. There's holds on it, so I had to read it. And I literally read this book in a week because I just couldn't put it down. It's one of those books where you start reading and then say you have to go to work or you have to go to bed or you have to do something. But immediately, the moment you put this down, you want to be reading it again. I just couldn't walk away from the book. And every time I did walk away from the book, I wanted to go back to it. So yeah, I really, really love this. I've even got my mum to download the first book on Kindle. That's how much I love it. And I would recommend both books to anyone who loves magic, who loves friendship, found family, things like that. You've got four main characters. You've got Flo, you've got Skandar, obviously. You've got Bobby, who's a girl, not Bobby as in a boy. And then you've got Mitchell. And they've all got vastly different personalities. So they're 15 in this book, 14, 15 in this book. They started the series in the first book as 13. So it's a bit like Harry Potter, where they sort of age as the books go along. And all of their unicorns have very different personalities. But the thing I love about this unicorn is they're not the white, sparkly kind of unicorns that you know from fairy tales. They're different colours. They're very much like horses, but with wings and a unicorn horn. But they're bloodthirsty. But they also kind of remind you of puppies. So they're like dangerous, but they're also, their personalities, they kind of remind you of like little baby puppies. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe them. Skandar's unicorn, Scoundrel, actually loves to eat jelly beans as well. So it's kind of like, they've all got their little quirks and foibles that I just really loved. And I would highly recommend that book. And there is obviously a mystery and a big bad force to be reckoned with in both the books, a bit like Voldemort. And yeah, if you've got a young reader at home, or even if you like these sort of books yourselves, definitely try and pick one of these up from your library or from Kindle or somewhere like that. It's worth it. You won't be sorry about that one. So that's another 5-star read from me. And my last, this is the book that I'm reading at the moment. So we're moving on to October reads now. And this is the first year I've actually found a book that gave me Halloween-y kind of gothic vibes that makes me want to continue reading, because sometimes they can be a little bit... I've not found a book that I've kind of latched onto that I've really got into with those kind of vibes. But this one, The Society for Soulless Girls by Laura Stephen, is actually got my attention. I'm about a quarter of the way through at the moment. I'm not going to say too much about what I think so far. I'll give you a little bit of what I think. There are definitely gothic vibes in this, and I will tell you, just because it's on the Amazon page anyway, it is a bit like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde retelling. So that's an interesting dynamic to the book. So I'm going to read the back of this so that you know what it's about, and you can decide whether you want to read it, and then maybe we can talk about it next month when I give my verdict on this book. So, 4 dead students. 10 years ago, 4 teenagers lost their lives in the North Tower murders at the elite Carvel College of Arts, forcing the university to close its doors and the case to go cold. 2 haunted girls. Now Carvel is reopening, and fearless student Lottie is determined to find out what really happened. But when her roommate Alice stumbles upon a soul-splitting ritual hidden in the library and the North Tower claims another victim, time starts running out. One chilling secret to destroy them all. Can Lottie and Alice uncover the truth before the centuries-old curse consumes them both? So I thought that sounded quite interesting, and as I say, so far so good. I am enjoying it. So I will look forward to bringing you my final verdict next month. I usually talk about 2 books at the moment, which I like to read during the month. However, I haven't got a second book for October because once I finish this one, or probably at the same time I'm reading this one actually, I will also be rereading my Christmas novel, Not Just for Christmas. It will be my final reading on my Kindle, so it's like I'm reading it for the first time. ARCs will also be going out, so I'm reading that so that I can publish this at some point in the near future. Next week, I'm hoping I will be able to show you the cover and also reveal the release date to you. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, that's going to be the Society for Soulless Girls and Not Just for Christmas are going to be my October reads. Obviously, next month I will not be reviewing my own book. That just seems I'm not going to go there. That would be pointless. But yeah, I will be bringing you a review of this book and then letting you know what I will be reading for November, which this is going to be a spoiler. Probably not a very surprising spoiler, but anyway, they will be Christmas books. So I've got to make a list of some of the Christmas books I want to read in the next couple of months, so that then I know what I'm able to bring you and talk to you about, and then hopefully come the new year I will be starting new reading challenges. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. So that's it for this week. I'm thankful I got through that without sneezing, without coughing. So if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment below if you've read any of the books I talked about today, or even if you've read this one, although please no spoilers for me and for anyone else who chooses to read them. And yeah, I will look forward to hearing your thoughts below. So until next week, I'll see you. Oh, before I go, actually, next week we'll start the videos about Preptober. So there will be some writing tips and tricks for you in the next few weeks for the rest of October, and that will start next week. Okay, so lots to look forward to, hopefully. So yeah, I will see you next week. Don't forget, like and subscribe, and I'll see you then. Bye.